All right. Welcome to World Building Part 2. Before I do that, though, I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of speech bubbles. I'm not saying this panel's done, but it is in enough of a state right now where I'm ready to go on. But yesterday's world building, I showed you two tools. I showed you fantasy name generators and also Copilot, which are some pretty cool ways to help you organize and brainstorm your idea. There's three tools I also want to talk about. Let's see. Three other tools. There's probably more. This might be the end of the world building series. But I'm going to talk about public domain superheroes. And we're also going to talk about Comic Book Plus, which is where a lot of the public domain comics from the Golden Age and I don't know, early Silver Age, if that. I think mostly Golden Age comics exist. And then finally, we're going to take a look at TV tropes. And that should be enough. I'm wondering if I did this right. You know what? You'll Ruin Everything. Let's take You'll Ruin Everything. Put it right here. Or right here. Let's put it right here. If you're wondering why it's washed out in gray, it's because I reduced the opacity so I'd be able to read it. Read my words while I'm trying to create this balloon. And this may not end up being the final form of it. All right, let's do the drop fills and let's see if that works. That worked. Okay, good. Good. I'm looking at this and I can see where it's broken already. Make your balloons look nice. That's what really makes it a comic, by the way. All right, here we go. I'm not saying I did really nice looking balloons here. I did my best for right now. All right, bring the thing back up. And there's our big thing. We might add more of these focus lines coming in. She's about to Nova Burst. And she's literally going to explode. And then, of course, I have this final panel where I'm going to draw him down here. All right, let's get on to the world building thing. So there's three websites that I think are going to be interesting that I wanted to show today. The first one is Public Domain Superheroes Wiki, or pdsh.fandom.com. And this kind of shows you all of the characters that are in the public domain that are known. And one of the cool things about this is the various comic companies are aware of this website. So if something ends up claimed as public domain on here and isn't really public domain, it'll usually get knocked off pretty quick. There's quite a collection of things on here, and you might be surprised at some of the things that are in the public domain already and why. You can see I've got quite a list here. I'm just looking at the bees here. As an example, I'm going to give you an example of a science fiction character that I like, which would be Skyrocket Steel. Let's see if I can find him. Skyrocket Steel is sort of a version of Flash Gordon. He appeared in Amazing Mystery Funnies, which is by Centaur Comics. He was, let's see, it says he was a young hero in the year X who served King Kurt. He was assisted by a brave and resourceful girl named Sari Marston, and by a mad scientist called Invex the Invisible, or an inventor. So that's pretty cool. All kinds of things that you can find on here, including characters you may not realize are in the public domain, like, for example, let's see if I can find a couple of examples here. Peacemaker. You might be aware of Peacemaker. There's his original appearances in Charlton Comics. He was created by Pat Boyette. And none of the Charlton comics carry legitimate copyright notices, so they fall under this other law. Anyways, they're in the public domain. Now, there's a difference between public domain and, between copyright and trademark. So I think that Peacemaker is probably still trademarked by DC, but you can still use, your version of it if you wanted to create a version of it. Maybe you call them a slightly different name or something like that. This is super common in comics, and I'll give you an example. There's like 4 different versions of Superman just in Marvel Comics. There's Hyperion, there's Gladiator, there's Icarus, and there's a character called Wundar. And they're all basically Superman, right? How could that be? There's several versions of Batman that are in Marvel Comics, like the Shroud and or Nighthawk. And, it kind of goes both ways. Well, public domain superheroes is an interesting wiki to explore. The next thing is, what if you want to read about one of these characters? You think, okay, this character's interesting. Panther, who is he? What's he all about? He's in Silver Street Comics number 4 by Lev Gleason. Go to comicbookplus.com, and let's see if I go over here to the homepage. You can see that there's a whole section of public domain comic books right here. And if we searched far enough, let's see, I think he's in Gleason Comics. Which I might not have that right. Well, there's Harvey Comics. He might be in Fox Features or something like that, wherever Silver Streak is. You might be able to find the comic and read about him from there. The other character I mentioned before you was Skyrocket Steel. He was in Centaur Comics. You can actually read them all right here. I think they're the Amazing Mystery Funnies. There's some crazy comics in here. You can find some early work by Basil Wolverton. You can find some early work by Steve Ditko. You can find all kinds of interesting things, whether it's Centaur or Charlton. Jack Cole is in here in Quality Comics. There's tons of Dell Comics in here as well. There's 476 issues of the 4-color series, which is like, they're kind of like one-shot comics or one-shot stories. Fawcett Comics is Captain Marvel. You might be surprised about all the Captain Marvel characters that are in the public domain. Does that guy look familiar? There he is. Or Captain Marvel Jr. My character Prometheus is kind of inspired by Captain Marvel Jr. Let's see if I can find those. Captain Marvel Jr. Anyway, those are pretty cool as well. And then finally, TV tropes. TV tropes is worth exploring. TV tropes, both finding a random trope like this, there's a parody episode, or something that you're interested in. I'll give you an example. Let's say you're really interested in, here's a character I really like, Devil Slayer. Devil Slayer is, let's see if they have him. Did you mean Devil Slayer? Yes. Devil Slayer is a Marvel character. And let's see if I can't find him. Let's find Ghost Rider instead. It'll know Ghost Rider. All right, Ghost Rider comic book. If you look at Ghost Rider, the comic book, it'll have a big wiki entry about it, but it'll show all of the tropes that are involved in him. For example, all bikers are Hell's Angels, or an anti-hero substitute. So like in the 90s, there was a short time where they tried to replace Ghost Rider with this darker and edgier counterpart. There's only one Ghost Rider. It's Johnny Blaze. Badass biker, badass preacher, body horror, and you can read about these tropes. These are a great way to put together your story. For example, here's one of Chekhov's gunman. Let's find out what Chekhov's gunman's trope is. character who is innocuously and unimportantly introduced to the viewer, but later proves to be important by the end of the story. So that's an example. And they'll tell you which comic that it appeared in if you click down here. Okay. So this is a short video, but anyways, those are the three websites. I'll put them on the screen right now. Public domain superheroes.com, pdsh.fandom.com, comicbookplus.com, and tvtropes.org. All right, that's all I have for right now. We'll talk to you later.